Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of The Inside. I am Babla Jonathan. We're coming to you from our studios in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And today, we are analyzing Africa's development drive. We're analyzing institutional and personal efforts to drive information and communication technology across the African continent. And it should be noted that technological development in Africa faces deep systematic flaws, including unreliable electrical grid, low internet penetration, and reliance on imported foreign software and hardware, and these gaps are further compounded by a shortage of localized digital skills, fragmented regulatory policies, and underfunded research ecosystems that risk turning the continent into a mere consumer of global tech. And we are looking at what is being done at the level of institutions and individuals, tech experts, to drive the continent faster in terms of development in the technological sector. Our guest today, Professor Victor Mbarga, is an information and communication technologies expert, founder and president of the Board of Trustees of ICT University. Professor, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Babila. It's always my honor to be here at Equinoxe.
It's always a pleasure to have you on this program. I want to begin with something that seems to be very interesting, eye-catching. You have a red feather on your car. What's that for? I know that in Africa, it's not just fancy.
Oh, absolutely. It's part of our cultural richness. It came from, I've been blessed to do a lot of work in the Western world, earning a lot of big titles, professorships in the Western world, and President of the United States, Lifetime Achievement Award, House of Lords, big awards. But believe it or not, in Africa, people don't talk about it. I have 7 chieftaincy awards, 4 in Nigeria, 3 in Cameroon. But this one came from the people of Bali, Balinyonga, where I was given the title of Ba-Kom Gwandama, one of the highest chieftaincy titles you could have in the great land of Bali. And equally also,
recognition from Fondo Ganyonga.
From Dr. Do Ganyonga, who, by the way, is not only a fund but a university don that I respect a lot. And he recognized some of the works I've done internationally and said, how can a son of the land, Cameroon, be recognized abroad, and we don't do the same in his country? And so I was endowed with this chieftaincy title, which to me, I love it more than even my professorship title.
Why do you love it more than your professorship title?
Because it comes from my people. It comes from my people that truly care about me, not expecting anything back from me. In the Western world, you are given titles for, what you've done is true, but something is expected back from you. I respect the titles I have from the United States, from Europe, and so on. Don't get me wrong. But this comes from where my placenta is buried. And I love this. I'm not even from Bali. I'm from the great village of Zangtabi, and a descendant of the warriors of Zangtabi, the people that fought many, many wars and won. My grandfather was a great fighter. And so maybe that's where some of my stubbornness comes from. So I love this my chieftaincy title.
And today you are a warrior. In the tech domain.
In the tech domain?
You're a tech warrior.
Well, I've done 1 or 2 things, and I thank God. I thank God Almighty for what we are trying to do in tech, in Cameroon, in Africa at large. I'm one of those very positive about our great nation, about our great continent. Before we were only consuming technology from outside, but you can see we are now producing a lot. I can't speak of everyone, but at ICT University, we are building robots. Young men and women are building great technologies right here in Cameroon and implementing them.
Right. We know Professor Victor Mbarga as a tech expert, founder and president of the Board of Trustees of ICT Universities, but want to know more about this man, Professor Victor Mbarika. Tell us more about yourself. Who is Professor Victor Mbarika?
I am a lover of the Lord Jesus Christ, who gave my salvation. I love God, and I strongly believe in being a result of the work of God in my life to serve humanity through information and communication technologies. A part of me some people don't even know is that from my teenage years, I've been an evangelist and founder of probably one of the most popular youth movements in this country called Cameroon Youth for Jesus, a ministry with two goals: to preach the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ and to mobilize youth for Christian service. Many young people that have come out of that ministry are bishops, apostles. I'm probably the only one without a white collar coming out of that ministry. Without a clerical, But I'm glad many of my children, spiritual children, are doing great things internationally. First of all, here in Cameroon. So if I introduce myself as something else, it would not be true, because I'm a product of grace. And the accomplishments I have in the IT field, it has very little to do with my intelligence. I say in many places, Babila, you may not realize this. I was not a smart student or not a good student in primary and secondary school. I used to be promoted mainly on trial. Going through primary school, but I was promoted. So, promotion on trial, you have say you have 50 students in class and the last 10 fail. I was the top of the last 10. I was first of the last 10, but I was still being promoted. So I'm a product of grace. That's who Professor Victor Mbarika is.
You tell us more about how you moved from that position to where you are today. And but before that, what you just said now, many will find it contradictory with your red feather.
Well, I'm not sure it's totally contradictory, because what you are from your early days is not necessarily what you become if you work hard,
because
you trust God and you work hard.
The red feather is seen as tradition. It's seen as,
nothing to do with God,
nothing
right?
to do with God.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, you're so correct. That's actually the perception, right? I remember when I was made a chief, honorary chieftaincy. I had criticisms from the Christian world. They are like, I've gone into some evil spiritual thing. No. It was all done in Jesus' name. There was nothing cooked. The feather was not cooked. Everything was done clean. I think instead it's very, very biblical. There were kings in the Bible, there were rulers in the Bible, and there were local kings, local
the Bible
rulers.
says, give honor.
Give honor to
honor is.
Absolutely.
And definitely that's the perception many people have, but that should be corrected. We have to change the narrative, because out away from you, I can cite examples of traditional rulers who are Christians of the Apostolic Church. I'm not talking about churchgoers. I mean, people who are fervent Christians, and they're
born again Christians. Yes,
they're traditional leaders.
Absolutely.
So there's really no kind of barrier in that perspective.
Senator von Chaffa, who is is a strong believer in Christ. That's one person I know personally that's a traditional ruler and a strong believer, and there are many others. I rightly agree with you.
Provided the contradictory aspects like idol worship are cleared off, there is no barrier.
You know what, Babila? If you are a true Christian, you will know when you are entering an evil area. It's true, God protects us, but God gives us a spirit of discernment. So you really know. You can't say that you don't know. There are things that you should not do. Idolatry goes beyond worshiping an image. I know this is not a religious program, but idolatry may be worshiping money, worshiping very good things. So
that's very true.
You can distinguish the two.
So, Prof, tell us, you were not a very brilliant student in primary school, but today you are a very brilliant professor. How did you gravitate to that level where you are today? How did you move from that? Because a lot of people were not brilliant until today they are not brilliant. Maybe because they had challenges, or maybe because they gave up along the way, maybe because they stopped believing it, that they could make it. A lot of factors could account for that. But you were not a very brilliant student, but today you are a very brilliant professor, breaking new grounds in ICT, not only in Africa, but across the globe.
Absolutely. I said there were two things that worked well for me. When I became a Christian at the age of 16, I was in Form 4. I can remember the day I made that decision, alone. It was not a crusade. And then hard work. But in all this, I wanted to make my father, Mr. George Mbarika, proud. Because I remember him always speaking with my elder ones that, hey, this person's son has a PhD. This person's son is doing well at the university. He's doing this. He challenged me. I wanted to make my father happy. Honestly, people ask me, why did I even do a PhD? I didn't do a PhD for me. I did it to make my father happy. When I entered a PhD, I did not even know exactly what a PhD is used for. No one in my family had a PhD at the time. Now several of us have. But I wanted to make my dad happy. One of my things in life, I just wanted to make my father happy. Why? I don't know. If today you ask me to show you proof of the fact that I have a PhD, a master's or a bachelor's, I don't have my certificates with me. Because every time I handed it to him, even my academic gown, when I had it, I handed it to him to honor him. And it was one of his happiest moments. Being around me, around my...
It was a driving force for you.
It was a driving force.
You certainly encountered obstacles along the way.
Oh my goodness, tons of obstacles. Be it racism in America, where when you beat the white man to his own game, it does not take it kindly. I've had serious racism in the United States of America, as much as I've been blessed there, with people trying to block a lot of what I'm trying to do there, but the more they block it, the more I explode. I have had right here in Cameroon strong support of the Cameroon government, but at the same time, I've had some delinquents in this government that have done everything to frustrate my projects. But overall, I've had people in the government, when that happens, they rise up, defend me, help me to go through that. And I'm not talking, I've not said that these delinquents are ministers in the government. No, they are not. I've had support from ministers in this government. I've had support from all levels of this government. But it's just small things like you want to register something, and someone just tries to frustrate the process. Or like a young... This is even recent. Please, I must talk about this. This is just recent. You will not believe it. Just about last week, as I'm landing in Cameroon, I received a convocation to the gendarmerie. Okay? What was the convocation about? Someone was collaborating with a unit of ICT University, and the collaboration did not work. So the person had dropped documents requesting for a collaboration. Documents, I'm talking about papers. As the thing did not work, she goes to the gendarmerie and does what the Frenchman calls a convocation, for me to report to the gendarmerie and answer to the gendarmerie why they have not given back her papers requesting collaboration. Papers! I'm not talking about a phone, I'm not about papers. So you have a country in which any Tom, Dick, and Harry can walk to any gendarme that they know, place a convocation against... I'm not talking that I'm an important man, but I think I should have some respect. Not that they are asking the person in my organization who maybe withheld their document or have their request to the gendarmerie, but they convocate the president of the board of trustees of the university. But you know what I did? I did not call any big man in this nation in order to do it. I respected, and I went there. And the gendarmes found it very ridiculous that such a thing would come up. But this is what could happen, just to embarrass you. Just to embarrass you. I went there, I reported myself there to talk about what? Papers. Papers left on my campus. They did not ask my vice chancellor, my vice president, the deans, or even the director of the unit where they left their papers. But you will have delinquents like that who just want to disturb me, and they just usually time it when I'm entering the nation. This is not the first time it's happening. I'm very angry with that. And I am reporting that particular gendarmerie to the government because they must deal with them. They cannot allow such recklessness to happen in this nation for people like us that come to invest in this nation. It's not right. We are Cameroonians. I'm as Cameroonian as anyone. It's true that I grew up most of my life in America, but I am as Cameroonian as you, Babila, or anyone else. I should not be embarrassed by being taken to the gendarmerie. I am at the very least, could be at the very least the rank of a director in this country. You would agree with me. So you will not drag a government director anyhow into a gendarmerie, but they want to drag me because I don't have a particular government title.
So these challenges, however, didn't stop you?
No, it doesn't stop me.
How were you able to navigate through these challenges? Because a lot of people are stopped by challenges. A lot of people give up when they face a lot of challenges on a path of growth.
And Babila, that is what makes my great nation Cameroon amazing. There are delinquents that want to disturb you from doing what you want to do, but there are some great people who truly want this country to progress. Do you know, before I decided, I've invested more than 12 billion with a B in this country. Do you know, before I decided to invest, I had invested in Asia and invested in other African countries. Of course, I have real estate investments in America. Before I decided to invest in this great nation, some people told me, and Cameroonians in America and the diaspora, that Cameroon is the dead burial ground of good ideas. Victor, don't go there. But I met the exact opposite. Because when you have certain delinquents that want to frustrate you in this country, there are well-willing people that rise up in this government to work with you and make a phone call and facilitate. There are 2 or 3 top people that are household names in this country that have told me, Victor, if anyone tries to disturb you, come to me. I will fight for you. This is the greatness, and I'm telling all of my compatriots in the diaspora, Cameroon is a country you can do and succeed in this country. I own about 8 businesses, but you know what? What I love the most, not even my real estate in America, I love what I do in this country because it's home. Many people think the government does not work. It's not true. I have been to offices of top government officials that leave their office after 7 p.m. That's why I say I don't think I can, if they make me a minister in this country, I will survive. Because I have me and stay for work after 5. I even work from home.
So Prof, let me ask you this before we go further. But you're free to comment or not to. As an investor who has invested hundreds of millions, billions,
yes,
in Cameroon, are you worried about this whole debate about the absence of the president and what looks like instability, confusion in government? So are you worried about all that?
Well, I don't know why you say I have to answer or not. I will answer all your questions. I am not worried. It's true that I am one of the dumbest people when it comes to politics. I'm a pure technocrat to the core. If you ask me, what are the laws of the head of state or any government official being away for I don't know, from what I hear, it's medical, but I can't confirm. I don't even know if it's medical or not. I don't know what is the real reason. So I am the wrong person to even answer such questions. But what I know is the country is functioning.
All right,
the country is functioning.
The country is functioning. Let's talk about technology.
No, I must address this. Let's even say if it's for medical reasons. If you are 93 and you can still walk by yourself, thank God Almighty. Some people did not have the privilege of having their parents live beyond 50.
That is great.
If you are 93, it's a blessing.
Right. Of course, nobody would dispute that. Age is grace. Not everybody gets to that age anyway, and we have to respect it. Now, let's talk about Africa's technological evolution. when you look at the way technology is being handled in Africa today, Africa's technological drive, what's your, really in comparison with what is happening elsewhere? In America, where you are, in Europe, and all around the globe, technology is going at a very fast pace. But Africa seems to be lagging behind.
I will shock you. Africa is not lagging behind. Technologies are here. Babila, if you go outside of this building and you tell someone, I have 2 phones, would you impress them?
Not at all.
No. It's not impressive to have 2 phones. When I wrote my first book about 20 years ago from my PhD thesis, the State of Africa's Telecommunications and Solutions, I wrote that book. It was published by the ITU, in the International Telecommunications Union. Let me tell you, at that time there were less than 1 phone per 100 people, what we call in our technical term teledensity, the number of phones per 100 people. Africa was still having less than 1 phone. Now it's nothing proud to say I have 2 phones. There is no pride saying that I have an iPhone 17. I see little girls walking around with iPhone 17, which some Americans cannot afford. So it is not true that we don't have technologies. The reason why many people come and tell you, probably on your show, that we don't have the technologies is because we have a poverty mentality in Africa where even when we are blessed, we don't even acknowledge we are blessed. We have a lot of technology. Most people have phones. Now, is how we use it. The issue is not whether we have the technologies, it's how we use the technologies.
Right, that's where there's an issue with how technology is being used in Africa today. We still have, for example, in the domain of agriculture, we're still using a lot of crude tools and all of that in several parts. We see governments giving people machetes, hoes, cutlasses, wheelbarrows, and things like that.
And that is why the ICT University is coming up with this amazing idea of digital agriculture, where people can use modern technologies in animal farming, in crop farming, in production of water, clean drinking water, etc. These technologies already exist around the world. Now, if you tell me that we are lagging in digital agriculture technologies, I totally agree with you. My evaluation of Cameroon and the rest of Africa is correct. We are lagging behind in that. But it's doable, and it's doable, guess what? With existing tools. Today, we are working with some women, all women that are farmers, but that have smartphones to communicate with their children all over the world, including within cities in Yaoundé, in Cameroon. We are showing them how they can take their phones, take a picture of a leaf in their farm that is dying, and automatically with AI it would tell them what is the plant disease that their plants is suffering from, and how it can be solved using local product, which they don't need to be imported. How it can be solved with local product. So that's already a way of using the phone. However, what happens? Why do we say Africa does not have technology? You see a rich guy who likes women, and a girlfriend will ask them, give me a gift. The rich guy will give the girl iPhone 17 because that's what the girl wants. Rather than iPhone 17 is over 1 million francs. For 200,000 francs, you can get a good laptop for that girl to start a business, to do something productive, so she does not live like a modern day modernized prostitution, which is what most of these girls live. They're modernized prostitutes. They don't stand on the street, but that's the life they live, a very, very wrong life. Okay? But then they will say the girl cannot go to school because she does not have a laptop. Oh, the government has not given laptops to students. But those same students in our universities here, they're having iPhone 17. Why don't you go down to iPhone 14 and use the rest of the money to buy a laptop where you can use it for something? The President of the Republic gave free laptops. I know there were a lot of criticisms about it, but what did students do with those laptops? I know 2 students that told me they went and sold it for 25,000 francs. And Guakele, And then we'll turn around and say we don't have technologies. We do have technologies, but how we use it, and that's the role of institutions like ICT University, to tell people now how existing technologies can be used, and where there is a lack, we bring it in.
Right, and even the iPhone 17 that some of them have, they're not using 1%. Am I even talking about 1%? 0.0.25% of the capacity of that phone, because there are a lot of things that can be done with the phone.
iPhone 17 can produce movies in plural without you needing these complicated cameras at Equinoxe or at CRTV. You can own a TV station now with just an iPhone 17. I love CRTV. I love the TV stations here. I love your big buildings, Equinoxe, CRTV, and so on. But let me tell you something that will shock you. If I were to run any of the television stations in Cameroon today, we will not need more than a 2-bedroom apartment. And we will run it, it will look like CRTV. So it will look like, CNN or NBC, MSNBC. Okay? I'm a Republican, I don't care about NBC, but it will look like that, okay? But we are not using these technologies. Why? Because many of our institutions today have to employ a lot of people. Now with an iPhone 17, you can do a lot of production using just that. Better than the cameras, the big cameras that we see going around. So it's about how we use the technologies. The Minister of Post and Telecom, my mother, Madame Liboum, Her Excellency Liboum, Liken, always talked about this. That is not all about just throwing in technologies, but how to use it the right way to accomplish the most out of it. Myself and some of my former PhD students who have published a lot in this domain, and it's real.
All right. Now, ICT University stands out like as one of the giants institutions pushing this technological drive across the African continent. And there was recently an issue between the university and a mentor university, the University of Buea. But we understand the issue is settled now, and you started issuing certificates. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I want to correct something, Babila. You see, many people in the media blew that thing out of proportion. The truth is, we had an excellent relationship with University of Buea. University of Buea had indeed been issuing certificates and transcripts to our students. It was just for students of certain years where we had a little disagreement. Students of a certain number of years, a few years of studies, that we had a disagreement with University of Buea. And honestly, I put the blame on me, and I've asked for forgiveness to the nation and to the people of UB, in that I went out of character because I was really angry about some things, and I was doing that for my love for my country, love of these young people. So I am very thankful to the Vice Chancellor of University of Buea, my colleague, my big brother in the field, Professor Horace Ngomo, and his leadership, his excellent leadership, where we were able to talk things like big brother and small brother. Of course, we thank the government who also intervened in creating a very conducive environment for dialogue, and we resolved the issues, not just for now, but for the future. He just received us in his office last week and smiled, and everything is going well, and gave us over 2 hours, my staff over 2 hours of his time in Buea. And also, it's not long, mentors from the University of Buea came and talked with us here about our new program in digital agriculture. And may I tell you, I love University of Buea. It's a great institution. It's the place to be. When I finished my secondary school, before my parents sent me to the US, I did not have the grades to enter University of Buea. I did not have the points to qualify to enter Buea. I mean, thank God Almighty that my parents well-to-do financially, and they sent me to study outside in several countries of the world. But Boya is a university I respect a lot. We have an amazing relationship with the University of Boya. And they have three DVCs in Boya. Two of them, three deputy vice chancellors. Two of them are academic children of those of us that are leaders at ICT University. One of them is one of my former PhD students that I chaired his PhD, defense, and the other is a former student of our current Vice Chancellor, Professor Emmanuel Tonier. So we are proud that the university mentoring us has top administrators there that studied under us. Not under ICT, but under us as professors that lead ICT University. It's the greatest pride.
So, Prof, we don't want to, anyway, I don't want to go back into yesterday because we need to be looking forward.
Yes.
We need to move and progress. And so now that the Buaha is settled, and there were questions online, people asking, where are our certificates, where are
Yes.
certificates? That question has an answer now.
It has an answer. They gave them right there. Some that could not make it on that day, they have been coming on campus and getting their certificate. But the most important part I want the public to know is now we have a framework where this will never happen. And I say it to the public, the squabble you saw between us and IC and University of Boya will never happen before because of the maturity of the Vice Chancellor of University of Boya. It will never happen again. It will never happen again because we have learned through the process.
All right. So there is something raising questions and debates, reactions about the ceremony organized on the campus of ICT University in Yaoundé. The man of God you invited, Prophet John Chi.
Yes.
Why did you invite a man of God? What was the message that you wanted to pass through the man of God?
This ties into when you ask who is Professor Victor Mbarika. My answer was not that I'm a great professor. That's for other people to determine. My answer was that I'm a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ and a product of the grace of God Almighty. I own several buildings around the world. At the top of my buildings is a chapel or a prayer room. ICT University campus in Cameroon has the same. We believe ICT University is an institution owned by God Almighty. So we invited a man of God because we had come out of quite a difficult situation. I have never been in this type of difficult situation in my life before. It has been the most difficult period for me, seeing our students finishing their studies and there are issues giving their degrees, giving their certificates. It pained me. I've lost sleepless nights, had to even go on some medication just for that. And so we called the man of God, Apostle John Chi, my good friend, my good brother, by the way, who came, and we had a Thanksgiving service to thank God for this accomplishment and for future accomplishments. That is all it was to it. And this is one of the most humble men of God you will ever meet.
And during his visit, he called on the graduates to put God first in everything.
He did. He called on the graduates to put God first, and nobody can solve Cameroon or Africa's problem without God being involved.
Right.
I was impressed with the way the government received the Pope to this nation. That shows how much we love the Lord.
And
we love God Almighty.
And recently the head of the Global Anglican Church.
Absolutely. So, and as you know, several top religious leaders have visited this nation. We are a nation blessed and protected by God, and we will only be better.
But a little bracket here. Some are seeing the visit of these servants of God as a way to subdue the people, a way to keep the people in bondage and continue dealing with them somehow.
You can never be on God's side and be in bondage, right? It's only good can happen.
All right.
By aligning ourselves with God Almighty.
All right. Let's go to the newsstands, and we're taking a look at what the newspapers reported this week. We'll be back in a moment to talk about agriculture or technology in agriculture. Stay with us. Municipal updates mourns the deadly landslide and floods that hit the city of Limbe this week, provoking the death of several persons and enormous material destruction. The Guardian Post tells its readers that the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, clocked 60 days abroad on August 5th, 2026, his longest stay out of the country since he came to power in 1982. And about what another issue of the Guardian Post qualifies as supposed conflict between the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Minister of State Ferdinand Gongo, and Deputy Director of the Civil Cabinet of the Presidency, Oswald Bapoke, the paper highlights a picture in which both officials are seen holding their hands and says the picture puts detractors to shame. And about peace and evangelism in Cameroon, Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Jangote lauds the contribution of the Anglican Church that was during an audience granted by the Prime Minister to the head of the Global Anglican Church, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Sarah Mulali. Cameroon Tribune reports the extension of the ongoing population census by the Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Jangote, an extension running from the 1st of August to the 15th of September 2026. And the paper adds that census agents have to make good use of this extension period to cover all households and agricultural ventures. You're welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We are still with our guest, Professor Victor Mbaraka, tech expert, founder, president of the Board of Trustees of ICT University. Professor, talk to us about the Tech in Agriculture project that ICT University is implementing in Cameroon. Why Tech in Agriculture?
Oh, thank you so much. See, I've done a lot of things by God's grace. This is probably one of my most exciting projects ever. Introducing bachelor's, master's, and eventually PhD in e-agriculture, PhD once we get approval from His Excellency the Minister of Higher Education. See, it's a very direct project. First of all, ICT University, you can go check, is the first university in Sub-Saharan Africa to introduce a bachelor's and master's program in digital agriculture. And we are even creating a vocational part of it where the only certificate you need to join is a birth certificate. And we will train you how to use the phone in your hand and other technologies in order to improve on crop yield, to improve on keeping animals in the right way, you know. So you talk about having sensors in your farm that can tell you the soil condition, the weather condition, what you need to plant at a certain time of the year, what you need to avoid at a certain time of the year. Okay? Right now you have to take your soil, you go to the lab, you measure it, you do all kind of science behind it before you decide what to plant. Today we can have sensors all around. We can use geographic information systems, satellites, and so on to determine what could be good in an area, what kind of animals to keep in what area. We have all of that with our collaborations with the government of Brazil, specifically Lavras University in Lavras, Brazil. It's a great collaboration. The bachelor's program, students will be able to study here in Cameroon for a few years, go to Brazil, spend 1 or 2 semesters, come back to finish and graduate. It's simply the use of artificial intelligence, the use of robotics, in agriculture. We are building robots that will be able to clear 1 hectare of a farm in a matter of hours. Clear it. Be able to go through trees and obstacles around trees and so on. This is amazing, you know, which will involve less and less human labor and the use of technologies. And I know my critics will say, so what happens to those people that are using cutlass and so on? We will train them now to use technologies to improve even on the smaller things that we're doing, make it bigger. And part of digital agriculture is also connecting the farmer to the international world markets. Okay, so if you are growing cocoa, you'll be able to connect you to multiple places around the world to be able to sell your product. It's an entire operation where even a beautiful young woman can sit on her phone and do a lot of things without even getting her hands dirty. No, don't get me wrong. There will also be people on the farms and so on. Now, thanks to the government of Cameroon, we have 1,200 hectares of land that has been given to us by the government for practice.
In Tibati?
In Tibati. We also have some land in the east, some land in the northwest, as well as the southwest. What will happen is we want to bring in 1,000 students in the program. Each student will be given 1 hectare of land for real practice. This is not one of those programs where the lecturer pockets his hands or her hands, dictate notes, you come and regurgitate, cram, and say that you are smart. No, your smart will be shown on the field. Because that 1 hectare of land, to graduate, you will have to cultivate or keep animals there and employ 9 other Cameroonians to join you on that 1 hectare.
Tell us more about that practical side of the whole issue, because there's a lot of problem with practical learning in Cameroon. Training is more theoretical.
Absolutely.
And we still have today students learning about computers without having the computers in front of them. Even in some higher institutions of learning, in primary school, in secondary school, pupils and students studying computer, but not having hands-on practical knowledge of how to use a computer. That practical side of digital agriculture.
Wow. I'm trying to answer that question as blunt as I can without offending anyone. It's not only a problem of Cameroon, it's a problem all over the developing world. The current dispensation in training students in higher education is almost a failure. Because like you rightly said, Babila, much of it is theoretical. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that over 95% of graduates from ICT University are not in what the Frenchman will call chômage camp? Why are they not unemployed? Because our approach of training is spend more time on practicals than time theorizing. That is why our students today, more than 95% of them, number one, either own their own companies, or are working, or are doing their further studies. I challenge this country. Go and check. Meet any ICT University student, any ICT University graduate. Ask them, are they jobless? Rarely would you find. I'm not saying it's 100%. How do we do that? We make sure students spend more time in the labs, or in the case of agriculture, on the fields, than they spend time in the classroom taking notes. That is the old colonial way Africans were trained. And the colonialists did that deliberately because they never wanted Africa to produce for itself. This is the truth. The current way we have our education, not just in Cameroon, in Nigeria, in Congo, everywhere in the developing world, is to repeat or cram what some white man has written and reproduce on paper, and that is when they call you a smart student. There are graduates from computer science programs in Africa that cannot even increase the size of their storage, of their hard disk drive. They cannot do it. If you give them a computer, they have never seen the inside of a computer. You cannot graduate at ICT University without being able to build a computer from scratch. You cannot get a marketing degree at ICT University without knowing how to build a website that you put into implementation for something marketable. Same thing in the side of digital agriculture, you will be going, your exams will be in the farms, implementing these technologies on the farms. And we can do that because the government has given us a practice land. This is huge for a government to give you 1,200 hectares. That's almost a village.
So each of the students will have
1 hectare of land.
1 hectare of land. What are they going to be doing with that during their studies and afterward?
Now, that is the part that we have some control over, because we can't just have them plant anything they want. We have some specific things we're going to plant and export. We are going to do a lot of wheat farming that will be transformed into flour for the world. We're going to do a lot of cassava flour planting that will be transformed into starch. Starch is used all over the world at places where dry cleaning businesses to dry clean clothes and so on. Okay, it's demanded all over the world. We're going to have one where we will be just growing and transforming bamboo to export all over the world, used within Cameroon and export. And you know the amazing thing? The Cameroon government has already created some restrictions for imports of certain things. So we want to take advantage of that to be able to sell to the local market and export. So each student will be doing something in one of these 3 areas. So they are not dispersed. It's true that some of our critics will say, well, there are many other crops that they could plant. No, we want to train them. When they finish, they can go into other domains. But so if you have 1 hectare, you will employ 9 other young people to work with you. That creates jobs in the next 5 to 10 years to 10,000 young people.
Have you started operations on the lands?
Absolutely. We are already working in our practice land in Obak, right here in Yaoundé, and that is where we envisage and we started works there for our digital poultry farming and digital fish farming, where everything is automated and made in a way that we can produce on a monthly basis over 50,000 fishes or chickens. So this is highly technologically based, but the important part of it is not just what we produce, it's what these young men and women are producing. Now, don't forget, we just started initial investments in getting equipment, in getting lands. Besides the land the government is giving us, we've been acquiring lands on our own. But effective start of the project with students will be in October this year.
Digital agriculture, the use of technology in agriculture, robots and all what you've talked about, may actually sound very abstract to many farmers in Cameroon, including the large-scale farmers.
Absolutely.
This may really sound very abstract.
Yes.
Is it accessible? Is it practicable? Is it realistic for many of these farmers in the Cameroonian context today?
Do you know yesterday the winner of we gave out 3.5 million francs to the high secondary school and the university competition at ICT for Africa conference. These 2 young girls, and I will give you some of the video footages if you want to show it to your audience. These 2 young girls actually produced digital technologies, digital sensors that can be used in greenhouses to keep the temperature measured, to water the plants, without even the farmer being present. Yes, we have already started. It's practical. I was very emotional. Do you know how old these 2 young girls are that won this money? 16 and 17-year-old girls. And that's why I was very emotional. I had tears in my eyes because my dream for Cameroon was coming true. That you can have young people like that are already producing it. So is it practical? I'm not talking about the future. I'm saying we already have it. We have, for the university level, we have at ICT University robots already produced that do what we call precision planting. In other words, we can say each plant will have a space of 0.5 meter. Precision planting robot is here already. We don't even need to import them. We are building them here and implementing them right here. It's true, for a start, we have certain things that we have imported and we have them already on campus. Students are already using them. I am not talking about something built by some great technologist in New York City or in London. I'm talking about young Cameroonians. We are already doing this. But then you have many other Cameroonians that will only sit to insult our nation or criticize our nation. There are young people that are overtaken. They are overtaken. If the older folks, and when I say older folks, I'm talking about people in their 30s, 40s, 50s that spend time online only to insult. There's a generation, an army of young people that I am leading that will take over the economy of this nation in the field of agriculture because of the amazing support we have from a government like this that supports real initiatives. I know in many instances when I go online, when I go on media, people want me to say, oh, the government is not giving this, the government is not giving that. The government cannot give it all. We are investing in these young people that are now creating these things in an environment here in Cameroon that is conducive to produce. We are already doing it, Babila. I'm not talking about something in the future. I would really love your cameras to come and take videos of these robots. They are on campus. So that people don't just think we are talking. Our students will illustrate it to you. It's here. And I'm inviting anyone that doubts what we are saying, come out to our campus, ICT University at Mesasi. We have them there. And this is open. That way people don't want to challenge me. This is your opportunity to come and say, oh, ICT University is only making noise. Come, it's there. We'll show you.
Right. So before because we are getting to the end of this program, I'm concerned about these farmers. I'm not even talking about subsistence farming because that's quite another thing. That would be a huge investment for somebody doing in subsistence farming.
We are supporting subsistence farmers in the vocational side. They are coming for us to train them how to use their existing phones to even detect plant diseases and so on. So no, even subsistence farmers are included in this. All they need is a birth certificate. They don't need any other certificate for us to train them in our vocational school.
Right. And about the large-scale farmers, getting a robot to plant crops, getting some technological equipment to do a study of the soil, to study the soil composition, and everything, the fertilizer they can use, where to have which yield, and so on, and using technology. What can you say which would convince them to do that, considering the fact that that takes, I want to say, an investment that is much more than if they were just doing things the way they are doing now, even though the yield will definitely be much more greater than what they are doing now, the crude tools, the crude methods they're using now.
That is where I have the good news. Contrary to the belief that these things are expensive, they are way less expensive than these iPhones and the Samsungs that people go using around. You can sell your Samsungs and your iPhones, get a Chironko, and we will show you how to get digital agriculture equipment from that. Because number one, we are building them already locally here at ICT University and some of our partners that we are working with around the country. Number two, even if you are to import some of these technologies, they have now gotten really, really cheap. Babila, I am telling you that the excuse that things are expensive is not true. We have demystified that. We have created an environment. Thank God for being in a country where you can be free to think creatively, where it is very affordable, way cheaper than your smartphones that people go around just to make noise. Way cheaper than the smartphones that people that do not like our country, they only go online to criticize the country. They can sell that phone that they are using to make all that dirty noise on the internet. They can sell it. Come to me. Contact ICT University. We'll show you how selling that phone, you can use it to improve the farm behind, the land behind your house, so you can have something to eat instead of going around insulting the government and going back living a miserable life.
Insulting the government is what is wrong, but criticizing the government.
There's nothing wrong criticizing the government. In fact,
Right.
that's why some people...
Positive criticism.
Positive criticism. Some people were angry with me that I was criticizing the higher education system. But the Minister of Higher Education was very excited. He calls me his son. He tells me he loves me. He tells me he gives me his blessing. Because things that I have brought up to the Minister of Higher Education, and that's why it's good to be learned. That's why it's good to... He's a professor of semiotics, I believe, and he understands that even though he is the minister, he can listen to other younger professors like me on things to improve higher education in the country, and he listens. I don't see what is there not to love this nation. And nobody has said in this government that they shouldn't be criticized, but criticism should be positive. You can't just wake up and say, oh, Professor Mbarika has, somebody just threw it out somewhere, a certain really bad disease, saying that I have it and that they have proof of it. That is something, I don't have time to be taking people to court. I have better things to do with my time. That is defamation. That is the kind of criticism we don't want. We don't want insults.
Criticism.
Thank you, yeah.
All right, we're going to take a short break now. Time for us to bring to you interviews of the week, and we'll be right back in a moment to talk to you about the ICT for Africa Summit and Technology Innovation Challenge. Stay with us.
We are here in front of where drinks are produced, and these are not authorized entities. But even so, they are produced in people's houses. It's, in fact, producing palm wine is cleaner than what is happening here. Yes. So you have Tata Pineapple Vodka, Pastis Gordon's Blend, Vodka Gordon's Blend, Dragon Vodka, Gordon Scotch, Kasani's Whiskey, Kujuro Gin, Coconut Peanut Vodka, Yobo, American Red, American Blue, Black Nobel, Tombo. We are going to make this list complete, and we'll be able to publish it on our website, and we will only give you the authorized list. So people are advised to avoid these products because the environment in which they are produced is not fit for human consumption.
I am very happy to be received by the Minister this morning. We have had other contacts before, and we decided that I pay him a visit as early as possible so that we can discuss our bilateral relationships between Cameroon and Turkey and various fields, areas with which we can work together to deepen our cooperation and further strengthen the friendship and good relations that our two countries have. So I'm very thankful for him for this occasion. And we have also shared our intention to work together in the future, together, so that our countries reach even a higher level of relationship which they rightly deserve.
Welcome back. Professor, talk to us about the ICT for Africa Summit and Technology Innovation Challenge. What is this all about?
Yeah, the ICT for Africa Summit is something that we started organizing. It's been a long time, 2008. So we've been running this for 18 years. And so usually the ICT for Africa Summit, me being the founder and the president of that summit, it had been going from country to country. At a certain point, I convinced my friends and other professors that let's choose one country and focus the conference in that country. And that's why for the last 3 years, we've held it in Cameroon, and we want to keep it in Cameroon for the longest. And I believe Cameroon is the best location that has been proven. People are coming from all over the world. So we have this challenge where we distribute about 3.5 million francs.
Before the challenge, what is the target of the conference?
The target of the
ICT for Africa.
ICT for Africa has two targets. One, it has academicians who come and present their research articles, get critiqued and improve it to go and do better articles or publish books out of it. That is the academic side, which to me, it's exciting. But my more exciting side is the student challenge, the student IT creation challenge, where they actually build real-world IT systems that can be sold to the market and people use it to, whether it's using it like some of them build apps for people to find houses to rent, some of them build apps for agriculture, some of them build apps for tourism. For example, during the African Nations Cup in Cameroon, the tourism app that was officially used by the government to tell people where to go to for tourism when they came here for the Nations Cup was built by a student of ICT University. Okay, we have another technology that was built by one of our students called IntelliBra, which is a breastwear that women can wear and it can detect cancer, breast cancer. That has won many, many awards, both here in Cameroon and abroad. So it gives young people, age 14, 15, 16, some of their maximum age is maybe 21, 22, that have the best possible technologies. They build it, they come and present it in a very tough competition. There are over 200 teams of students around Africa that come to compete for this, and it has to come down to one winner.
So how is this driving Africa's technological development in terms of speed?
Well, there are several technologies that have been built out of this competition that now the students, we have mentored them and they have taken it now to a point where they can build it for different organizations, and these young people make money by offering technology solutions in different domains of life, and people are using it. Earlier on the show, I told you about the two young girls, 16 and 17, that won the first prize. Okay, they come from a secondary school in Boya. They beat hundreds of teams, and they came now with a technology solution to water a greenhouse, to check the temperature of the greenhouse and adjust it, to test the soil in the greenhouse to ensure that the crops are healthy. This is, for example, the newest winner from yesterday, right? Now, ICT University will work with them, if them and their families are interested, to invest money in it such that this technology can be further developed to be used by farmers that have greenhouses for certain crops that cannot be grown outside. For example, today, Cameroon still imports apples, but in a controlled greenhouse environment, we can develop and have our own apples.
You can produce apples in Cameroon?
Well, that is the goal for the greenhouse approach, to be able to not call apple, what would they call it in French? Pomme de France. How can we be eating pomme de France in 2026? I want to change that.
We should be eating pomme de Cameroon.
Pomme de Cameroon. ICT University usually offers flowers, roses, to people that market us, the women that market us. The last time we wanted to order roses, we planned to surprise the person that markets us. Guess what? They could not deliver. When we called, why did you not deliver the flower, the roses? They said, ce n'est pas arrivé de l'Afrique du Sud ou de France. Why are we importing roses from France and South Africa in Cameroon? We can do this in controlled temperature. Let's say we don't have South African temperature or European temperature here. We can create that with these technologies to create the right environment within a greenhouse to grow roses. Why should we go and buy roses, import roses to be flown on a plane, to be brought to Cameroon? But that is what is happening now. The apples you eat are not grown in Cameroon. The roses you send around are not grown in Cameroon. That's why most times during ceremonies, when they are giving people médaille d'honneur, people come back with plastic flowers. No! Cameroon has some of the best soil in the world. So we want to have to do this in controlled environment. It's part of our goal of digitization. When the Russia-Ukraine war started, do you know that there was shortage of flour in Cameroon? People started baking bread using cassava flour. Why should we be depending on Ukraine for flour? Ukraine has good weather for like 3 or 4 months. We have good weather the whole year. We can grow things. Cameroon is green the entire year. This is why these young people, they are competing and beginning to figure out technologies that would be helping us to be able to have crops of flowers locally.
Solution-oriented technology.
Solution-oriented. Not to ask them in a test, what is the definition of a greenhouse? What is a greenhouse can produce apples? Discuss, explain, expand. Nonsense. They should do it and show us. That colonial style of education has to stop. And we are here for that.
And some of us studied rice cultivation in Finland.
Exactly. Or sheep fishing in Norway.
Fishing in Norway. And then I'm thinking about something concerning mindset. I want you to address this issue, to talk to this issue of mindset, because we are talking about pomme du Cameroon, rose made in Cameroon, and things that are produced in Cameroon.
Yeah.
But there is a problem of mentality today. I was in a conference recently here in Yaoundé, and there were producers coming from different parts of the country and even somewhere in the diaspora talking about this issue of the made in Cameroon label, which is seen as inferior,
Yeah.
which is seen as not the best. It's true that there is a problem of quality, but I think that there is a need to change mindsets about the made in Cameroon label. Because today if you have apples, one person selling pomme de France, another person selling pomme du Cameroon, the person selling pomme de France will finish and go to his or her house.
Absolutely.
And the person selling pomme du Cameroon will sleep there, and nobody or some few persons may come. So I want you to talk to this issue of mentality.
You know, there is this water that they sell in like Carrefour.
Because we can
it
also
comes from France.
If we transpose this issue of because we are talking about agricultural products, for example,
Yeah.
well, and you're talking about robots that are built here on
Yes.
the campus of ICT University, and there are many Cameroonians who prefer to go and buy or obtain robots from, I don't know, China, United States, than the ones that have been built here on the campus of ICT University.
You know, even start with the basic, Babila. There is this water called Evian. Do you know what country it comes from? It's France. I don't know if they produce it locally now, but earlier on it was coming mainly from France. What waterways does France have that Cameroon does not have? What bodies of water? Now, some of these European countries, I don't know specifically about Evian, but what I know is in some countries that do not have large bodies of water, they actually recycle water that goes through toilet. Your shit, let me use it, the raw word. What you go to the toilet and do and pee, and then they will extract water and they can purify water from anything that is liquid, right? And they give you good drinking water. Meanwhile, we have wonderful oceans and rivers and things here that you can easily do it. But people would rather buy Evian from Carrefour instead of buying our locally made bottles of water. It's the mentality. You got it very correctly. Because we believe it has to be white in order to be right. No, it can be black and right. And the mentalities have to truly, truly change. Okay? But also, we must produce with quality in order to have it acceptable. Let me give you a shocking thing. I will not call the name of the minister. It's a former minister, actually. It's not actually a minister. I was flying to Cameroon on a special visit, and I came with some of my staff from the United States. And one of the staff members was white. He was actually my cameraman. He came to cover what I was doing here in Cameroon. And when we came out, the driver that was sent by the minister to pick us up, the driver went to the white man, who is my staff member, my worker, and said, "Welcome, Professor Barika." He thought Professor Barika was the white man. This cameraman only has a secondary school diploma. He works for me. He cannot even speak proper English, although he's an American. But he's a good cameraman. He learned it, practically. But that is who they welcome, because they did not expect Professor Barika at that time. It's a long time ago. I wasn't known yet like I am now. They expected the professor to be white. And then I had another person here I wanted to do a business with, and I was to bring some business partners from the United States. Do you know what that person told me? To meet the government. But this is a private citizen telling me this. Please, when you are bringing the people, can you bring a few white people, even if they are not very educated? Bring them, because it will be easier to be accepted by the government if you come with white people than with black people, which is a lie, because this government has absolutely accepted me as a proud son of Cameroon. You don't need to bring that type of a lie. It doesn't need to be white to be right. So the mentality has to change, because we still think if it's white, it's better. So yes, we'll be producing pomme du Cameroon. We'll be producing our apples here, our flowers here. I have one of my young brothers who is doing well with greenhouse stuff, Roland Fomunda, doing amazing work here. He lived in America, left his family in America, moved to Cameroon. Guess what? This young man, I know he will hate me for doing this. This young man makes so much more money here in Cameroon than he made in America, to the point where he feeds his family in Cameroon with money he makes. He feeds his family in America with money he makes in Cameroon. This one I can say because he has posted it on his social media. That was amazing. And I can tell you there are a lot of opportunities in Africa. Some of my biggest investments and biggest successes have been in Nigeria and in other parts of the developing world, in India, even more than in the United States. Yeah, I do well in the US. So it doesn't have to be white in order to be right. We can do those things here, my dear brother.
We need to believe in ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But the environment is already here. Because I know when I say this, people will say, oh, the government has not created the right environment to be able to do this. It's a lie. It's here. I'm here. I've had where the government has given me almost free imports of agricultural equipment, agricultural products, and educational products, which is in the law in the country. And when somebody tries to disturb me at the port, I call some people in the government that I don't need a favor, I just need my right, and they make it happen. So the environment is here for investors to come and do well.
All right, Prof, we've come to the end of this conversation. But before you go, in 1 minute, I want you to talk to the issues around policy in terms of education, in terms of tech development, in terms of manpower development.
You know, Babila, this is a good thing about policy. And please, I want my good friends in the government not to think this is a criticism, but it's just my own contribution. We need to give a chance to young, educated people. There are many people that can do the things that we bring in foreigners to do here, like in the tech area. I was told that by a senior person in the passport production office that the people managing our IT systems in the passport production office come from Europe, I believe Netherlands. Cameroon has amazing graduates that can manage that process. There are many of them that finish at ICT University and would do it for 1/10 of what you will fly people to come in and do. We have smart young people. We are in the academic section. I want the government not to be afraid to appoint young people as deans, especially of technology departments at universities. Because young people are really new. I don't know the ages of deans that are there now, please. So I don't know anybody. I'm not criticizing. But they are good people. If the government needs my help, I am ready to offer my free services to this government, free of charge. I don't need money. I'm okay. God has blessed me. I will do it. I will help to recruit, to appoint young, talented Cameroonians. Some are here in Cameroon. Some are abroad that are ready to move to Cameroon to contribute to nation building. Because I know you keep me hearing or talking policy about human resource, because it is human resource that will do the transformation. You cannot take a guy that I know oh my goodness, a chancellor, is a former vice chancellor in Ghana that does not even know how to access his email box. He gives his secretary access to his email box. He's about in his 60s. His secretary prints out email, gives to him, he puts notes on the email to go and type and reply. So an email that could have been replied within minutes has to wait days for his secretary to get to it. Because we are too much into believing that only people of certain age have wisdom. I think the people high up in government, like the ministers, the top people, directors, we still need people of a certain age to stay with that wisdom, because youthful exuberance can make a lot of mistakes. But I think some of the people on the ground doing the actual work, you cannot put somebody in their 60s or 70s to be director of an IT unit at the university training IT people. Meanwhile, that person does not even know how to access his own email. This is not a criticism. This is just a way to tell, and right. I say this in other African countries where I am a consultant, give an opportunity. There are some bright people here and that have gone through free Cameroon education. Make use of them.
Professor, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the insights and the wisdom you shared with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate Equinoxe. Thank you so much.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today. God bless Cameroon. God bless Africa. Goodbye.